take projection.
It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we're going to, as usual, go ahead and jump right into it. We don't waste any time on the show. Let's start off with SmackDown Friday night. As Patrick just said right before we started rolling, I guess they answered my question last week about were they going to let Ray beat Austin Theory and become the U.S. champ.
Yep, it happened. They got to it in a roundabout way.
Oh, look, Ray's cleared.
Yeah. So that means we have to hurt Santos. We have to go back around it. So, hey, I feel like we say this every time there's a title change. Seems like it happens more in AEW than in WWE, but we'll see what happens with the U.S. title now, as this seems to be some kind of a reset. We've talked a lot about Austin Theory and the potential he has, but for whatever reason, he has just been MIA in terms of being an impact player in WWE since WrestleMania. So, I mean, they give it to a legend like Ray, and obviously you had to think LA Knight is waiting in the wings somewhere to win this thing.
How long do they keep it on Ray?
Well, yeah, and if you were going to have LA Knight take the title, why doesn't have LA Knight beat Austin Theory?
Unless he just wanted to have Ray. That's the only explanation I can come up with.
Yeah. Because, Ray's, it's not like one of those things where, Sheamus has not won the Intercontinental title in his career. So you got to think at some point before he retires, they're going to give him a title to just say, hey, thanks for everything you've done. Ray's been U.S. champion before. It's not like he needed this in his shelf, So, I didn't think that Ray would win, so it was a nice little surprise when it happened. And we will see where they go from here. SmackDown this week just felt a little uneventful. Outside of the Bloodline stuff. And I think it's felt that way for a couple of weeks now. It wasn't as hot as what it was, when Sammy was doing stuff on SmackDown regularly. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that, the big time superstars who are there week in and week out in WWE right now, they're all on Monday Night Raw. Gunther, Seth, Cody, all the Judgment Day, they're all heavily showcased on Monday Night Raw. And SmackDown, when Roman Reigns is there, like this week, yeah, it feels cool, but there really isn't anything else, to me personally, at least outside the show, outside the Bloodline stuff that makes it, you got to watch every single second of it.
Yeah. I caught myself tuning out a whole lot on Friday night. It's fine. Like we've said it before, they can't all be cowboys, but it kind of did the Collision kind of did the same thing to me. I thought this was probably the weakest Collision we've seen since Collision has been a thing. And, they were bound to have a not so hot card at some point.
Yeah, and they have stuff on SmackDown. The Street Profit stuff with Bobby Lashley, that's on SmackDown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so stuff like that they could be gearing up to kind of delve into, like that stuff could be cool. But you got to give it time to be on TV and to let it take off.
Yeah.
So, it was SmackDown was fine for the most part, and then of course the Bloodline stuff. We get another installment in the saga, the never-ending story that is the Bloodline.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that. This was, clearly has been the case for the last year or so, the most entertaining segment of the night.
Yeah,
a lot of fire from Jey Uso.
He laid literally everybody out.
Yeah,
everybody was out cold.
And then said he was out of WWE, out of SmackDown, out of all of it. So obviously we know that ain't the case.
No. But I do like it now. And this is something that they took from AEW, I'm sure. Jey Uso has been moved to the alumni section of the WWE roster. So little things like that where you kind of just bring the people in and try to make it more and more believable. I thought personally and look, I love Roman Reigns. I thought personally he was the weakest part of this segment. I don't think to me, he works better when he has less things to say, you know?
Yeah.
When he can have like Paul Heyman talk for him and when he can just kind of be subtle, when he's trying to like ham it up.
And stuff, yeah.
Not that it's bad. It's just not his strong suit. And particularly in this kind of segment where you have such raw emotion that is being showcased from both Jimmy and Jay, he felt just kind of like, and that was his role, to be the like little smarky, you know, guy in the corner getting his shots off. But.
Right. I can't remember if I mentioned this on the show a couple weeks ago or not. I know I had it in my notes, but Jay is consistently the best actor in the group.
Yeah.
In terms of delivering his lines and the facial expressions and his reactions and everything throughout this whole thing. He's been, to me, the best actor.
I would say it's him and Sammy really in all of WWE. And Sammy for different reasons, because he's funny and he's captivating and, you know, there's a magnetism about him. But Jay has that same level of magnetism, just in a different kind of way, right? Like you said, raw, energetic. It's palpable. It comes through the screen. He seems tense a lot, like he's ready to go off at any moment. And he did go off on Friday night, and Roman ate a super kick, Solo ate a super kick, and then I love the fake hug just right in the mush. The fans didn't know how to react at first because they were like, oh shit, what? Yeah. But then they got behind it and started cheering it.
Yeah.
When he started going through the crowd. But listen, certainly seems like we're headed towards a 4-way between these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if that wasn't obvious to begin with, it's for sure obvious now.
Yeah, and when did we say we'll probably get that one? We were talking about that on the last episode.
It has to be Survivor Series.
Yeah,
I don't think any of these guys are working Payback in September.
Right. They've already released graphics for Judgment Day, so I think they're going to be a big focus of that.
Yeah, and you got to think the next big pay-per-view is in November, so they'll come back around. I'm sure Jay's probably going to get some time off here before he comes back. I did like Jimmy's semi explanation of why he did what he did.
Yeah, that made a little sense.
Yeah, I mean, there still is an underpinning, I'm sure, of jealousy there, and that's kind of what Jay was probably kind of sniffing out. But, you know, Jimmy probably believed he did what he did for all the right reasons. You know, we talk about all the time. That's what makes good characters, when the characters believe the things that they're doing, even though, you know, we as the audience perceive them as being in the wrong. So this is captivating stuff. I did want to talk about, we didn't mention this last week, but, you know, after SummerSlam, somebody asked Paul Heyman what inning was the Bloodline story in, because remember, that's kind of a motif that they've been saying in the press conference. And Paul Heyman said, we're at the bottom of the third. The longest baseball game of all time that's come this Bloodline story. Like, and I don't believe that. I don't think anybody thinks that Roman Reigns is going to have this belt for another 2-3 years. It all kind of has to probably be ending at WrestleMania. I don't want to say it's starting to feel stale. But if we were plotting it out on a graph, right, the highs and lows of this story, we're definitely on kind of a little bit of a downside. Sure. Not a lot of one, but a little bit of one, you know.
But and you always a long time between now and Mania.
And you always want to try to end things, you know, get in late, get out early, right? The whole screenwriting adage. But yeah, I mean, because we have to think from now till Mania, there's probably not going to be any sort of like Sami Zayn type of character that interjects himself into this story that gives it fresh new blood for a little bit. It's kind of going to be these 4 dudes plus Paul Heyman from now until next April. That's a long way to go, man.
It's a long way.
It's a lot. I just hope that we land this plane successfully in a manner that everybody, well, not everybody, because you can't satisfy everybody, that a lot of people feel satisfied with. And that we don't get this stringing out to where, you know, 2 months from now, we're on this podcast being like, hey, you remember when this Bloodline stuff was really popping? And now it's like, I don't want that to happen, because that'll be bad for everybody.
For sure. Well, let's get into Monday Night Raw from last night. There was a lot happening with Judgment Day last night. They start the show without Finn Balor out there.
They start every show, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
It's got to be nice when you go into work and be like, all right, well, we're in the Judgment Day, so we're in the first segment, and then we're going to be in the 5th one, and then we're going to be in like the 12th segment. Like, you just know,
right?
You got to be in the whole show.
Yeah. So I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on with them last night, and ultimately there was the Cody versus Finn battle at the end. Yeah, I mean, more and more. You've said this before, but like, the leader is the person that's holding the belt.
Yeah. It's Rhea Ripley.
It's Rhea Ripley is the leader of Judgment Day.
I mean,
They haven't said so much lately, but like Finn not coming out there and her being the one that gets between Finn and Damian when they have a little tiff, or Damian starts talking a little shit last night, talking about, where's Finn? Why ain't he out here? And she's like, hey, cut that shit out.
Yeah.
She's the leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the one person, we say it all the time, her and Dominic are the two people that cannot leave Judgment Day. Anybody else can come and go. Obviously, JD McDonough continues to factor into this story. Now, whether he straight up joins Judgment Day or whether
he's a weird looking little fella. His hair, something about his hair don't sit right on his head.
Well, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
He's a talented dude in the ring. I wonder if they do something where like Finn gets JD and somebody else on his side, and like Finn splits from the Judgment Day, and there's a new Finn group versus the Judgment Day at some point. That seems to be where it's heading.
I mean, yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, but
because flash forward to the end of Cody and Finn, you cannot convince me that Damian Priest, it's one or two things. Either the man needs to go get his eyes checked because he doesn't have good depth perception about how close somebody needs to, or he's just that strong when he's sliding something, or he did that shit on purpose. That's the worst sliding anybody, any kind of object job. And of course, like, it was done on purpose, right? Because it's supposed to be. But like, holy shit. That is, if I was Finn, I would immediately just be like, okay, you screwed me like that. There's no way. That came in way too fast for what we talked about.
Coming in hot.
And like, even Finn had a kind of delayed reaction. That was my only nitpick. For he was just like, toss it, slide it. And then he's just like, it's like your grandma trying to like pick up a fucking ground ball or something. Just completely delayed reactions. But listen, it's cool. Like we talk about the same with Collision. It's cool that when you watch Monday Night Raw, what do you know you're going to get? It's going to be something with Seth Rollins. It's going to be something with Cody Rhodes. It's going to be something with the Judgment Day. There's going to be something with Gunther and Imperium. Every single week, those 4 acts are going to be there, and they're going to anchor the entire show. And it makes it really watchable. It streamlines everything in a way that makes it enjoyable. Now, it's still 3 hours, which is like, that's a slog too. That's a slog in its own, having that much wrestling. But yeah, you got to just, a lot of these stories don't have to be super complicated. And yeah, you have WWE and AEW both have a really bloated roster and just an embarrassment of riches when it comes to talented men and women. But like, to make good stories, you kind of have to center it around certain people. And that's what Monday Night Raw, I think, is doing well. And where SmackDown has kind of struggled is it like, hey, it's around the bloodline, but like the dude that's having the title's not there every single week.
Well, speaking of Gunther, he ended up having a match with Otis last night, which was just fucking fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, I said a couple weeks ago, I think my only note in the show document was, I love Otis. And
He's
that was
great.
just a prompt, right?
Alpha Academy is getting over.
Yeah.
Slowly, you heard it, like the shoosh and the thank you, they've been getting over, but now like the it's starting to get louder when he does it.
Yeah, and Otis has brought the Caterpillar back. He's been doing it more often.
Yeah, and he does his own version of the Hulk Hogan Hulk Up, except it just shakes his hips, a little blues man action in there.
There were a couple of little things last night where Gunther hit him. He was doing his little shimmy. I was just laughing my ass off.
And it's good that Gunther has different types of opponents like that too. Because he really hasn't had to go up against a guy that can do comedy like that. And Gunther played it great. Ludwig de Kaiser is probably the best straight man in wrestling right now. His ability to just cut a promo and to have people be able to be funny and bounce off of him in a way, like that's a skill in and of itself. I think he's super talented. At some point, a Kaiser versus Gunther match, I think would be a banger.
Ooh.
The other guy, Giovanni Ribs, he can go.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fine. He's talented, but like, he doesn't do anything for me in that group. Other than the fact that the way Samantha Irvin says his name, I think it's really funny. And every time they like show her on TikTok when she's announcing his name, she's got to like fold her fingers in like she's an Italian chef explaining to you an ingredient list, because that's the only way you can probably get that out in the right kind of way, you know?
I haven't seen that.
That Imperium group, man, Gunther's special. I mean, that dude is bona fide. I love the fact they're letting him cut promos now. I love his thing is like, I'm going to stand on the announce desk because fuck it. Why not? I got to do something different.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a superstar through and through. And he's a dude that you could easily turn babyface. You put him up against a heel, any kind of heel that's, better on the mic and him and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as great in the ring, Like if he was going up against Austin Theory, the crowd would immediately get behind Gunther and he'd be a huge babyface, So that dude's ceiling is, untapped at this point. There's no telling what kind of star he would be.
So we also got a challenge from Shinsuke to Seth Rollins, which could be very interesting. But then what was the little exchange there at the end? What do you think that was about?
I don't know. We don't know what he said. We don't know what Shinsuke said.
But Seth was shook.
He was shook, and then he ate a knee for it.
Yeah.
Shinsuke has, and Asuka has this too, and we've probably talked about this before. When English is not your first language, you have to figure out other ways to get your charisma across and to get away what you're trying to say. Shinsuke could have done that. I wish he would have done the whole promo in Japanese. He did most of it. I don't have to know. I get what he's saying. I get the gist of it.
Sure.
But again, like, I think that's kind of a skill set that a lot of these wrestlers have where, English is not their first language. And so they get better at other skill sets. It's like if you were, how they say, like, if you lose one of your senses, your other senses become heightened in a way. I think that's like that for him. He conveys so much with his face. And man, again, I wish this was 2012, 2013 Shinsuke. If the Shinsuke that was in New Japan would have made it all the way to WWE, I don't know. He would have been the biggest. He is probably the biggest Japanese star to ever make it here in the States. I would have to think. I mean, yeah, it probably is him. I mean, he was in a WrestleMania, was WWE champion, but if you've never witnessed Shinsuke Nakamura from New Japan, please go find highlights. Please go find Wrestle Kingdom entrances. This dude in his prime was something special. And a lot of people have ripped stuff off of him now, but yeah, he was that Kinshasa back in the day, man. When he was in New Japan and it was strong style and he was really letting that thing fly, that knee was hitting some folks.
Killing some folks.
Yeah, it was getting some folks for real. And who knows, maybe we'll see. If there ever was a forbidden door in WWE with New Japan, he would be front and center on the card for sure.
So they didn't set a date for that match though yet, right? Or did they?
I mean, Payback. That'll be your Payback main event. Yeah.
Gotcha. So the other match from last night that I've got on the notes was Trish versus Becky, which ended up, I mean, it was more or less a snoozer, and the finish was dumb. So, I mean, I felt like we should probably touch on it since we thought it was going to be a SummerSlam event, and then it got left off the card.
And now it is a steel cage?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. That could be fun. Could be interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Just go ahead and get it over with at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. This feels like a missed opportunity, right? Feels like that somebody here dropped the ball with these two women.
I mean, and I hate saying that because I'm a Becky stan, but
yeah, and I love Trish Stratus. This was a very easy story to tell, and we loved the way that it started off with the thank you Trish stuff. But again, this is now a story that is 4 months in the making, 5 months, 3 months, something like that.
Just wrap it up.
you know, a lot of times there ain't a lot of juice there. You know what I mean? Like, if you had it plans for 5 months, this probably would have been a really good story 2 months. If they did an 8-week program and they were there every single week, that probably would have been exciting stuff and probably would have been one of the top feuds in WWE. But yeah, they've just kind of let it go. And now it's like, okay, they announced it's in a steel cage. And I was like, all right,
whatever. Yeah.
Which is sad.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling like it was going to go sideways quickly last night, and it didn't take that long.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all.
So let's move into Dynamite from last week. They start out with the mandatory Jericho Appreciation Society meeting, and everybody quits. Ultimately, Guevara's left standing there, and he didn't say, I quit, like everybody else did. He was like, if, you know... How do you say? He didn't say I quit, but he didn't. Well,
he's like, if you change your ways, maybe I'll be here.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And he's got to do that because he's the only babyface in the ring, right? You can't have the babyface that you're trying to get over be the one that quits and walks out on one of his mentors. But yeah, I mean, Jericho Appreciation Society had its moments, and we got Danny Garcia, the sports entertainer, out of it, which is good enough for me. I love the fact that he said he quit, hip thrust, and walked out. You know, again, I don't want to bring this up. We'll bring up this dude, you know, his match against RVD, which I thought was decent. But again, as much stock as they have put in the Jungle Boy, this dude gets, or Jack Perry. Sorry, he's Jack Perry. He gets so many opportunities. And I talk about dudes that I would rather see on TV. I would much rather see Angelo Parker and Daddy Magic on screen. Even half the amount of time I've seen Jack Perry. You know? It's just there are other guys there that they have given up screen time for to try to help this dude and Jack Perry become a star. Yeah, I mean, and Garcia too. Like, we thought Garcia was going to get a big push, 7, 8 months ago when he was having the feuds with Danielson and trying to decide if he was going between Danielson and the JS, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And then they just kind of let that die, whatever momentum they had with him. It could be a good time to build him back up. But you look at Daddy Magic and you listen to his promo and you're like, oh, this dude he probably should be featured more frequently on TV, right? Him and Angelo Parker both. Now, Garcia had the best promo, I think, out of all of them. Because he actually felt a little more real than the other guys. Yeah. Anna Jay's talented. She's not there yet. No. Tom Mello, again, also talented. Not there yet. No. Guevara was trying to do something different in his promo, so we'll give him some slack. One other thing I wanted to bring up about Guevara. Last week was Dynamite's 200, right? Yeah. Yeah. Got to bring this up on the show. When they ran the little, here's the recap of all the highlights in Dynamite history, you forget how involved and how many oh shit moments Guevara's been in. Yeah, they showed him and Cody when he did the cutter on Cody. He did the cutter on Cody off of the damn ladder. So there's the Cody, there's that. There's the fucking getting hit by the golf cart. There's getting hit by the other golf cart. Okay, he's been 2 stadium stampedes, he's been hit by a golf cart. There's the fucking crazy ass 450 he did, or 630 that he missed the dude completely off the ladder. You just watch it and you go, oh shit, this is kind of how you should probably get this dude over, because we've both watched every single episode of Dynamite, and I've kind of forgotten about that. That's how I feel if you were trying to get this dude over as a babyface, every single week, the dude just needs to be I've been here since day one, and look at all the shit I've done. Look at the people I've wrestled, and look at the moments that I've made, because it's a lot. But I kind of forgot about that, and when we were bringing that up last week. Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of that ladder spot with Cody is one of the best looking ladder spots I've ever seen. Yeah. It's beautiful. So, and I moved. Uh-oh. Y'all excuse the dog. He's wilding out.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's a good point. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Guevara moving forward. I can't be the only person that, kind of took a little more of a liking to him after watching All Access.
No, and I think that's probably why they tried to go in the direction with him that they did. You have to wonder if him and the Garcia tag team is going to keep going. I think that probably still has some legs if you want to continue to go down that route. But yeah, I mean, Jericho, I guess now seemingly will join the Don Callis family it's quite a small family. It's just Takeshita and fucking Callis and Jericho. But
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it was a fine start to the show.
Yeah. So next up, just from two of the goats in their division, the Hardys versus the Bucks. I mean, it doesn't have the same magic it would have had a few years back, but some fun spots here and there.
I feel like when the Hardys debuted, or when Jeff debuted, we said explicitly they should just immediately challenge the Young Bucks for the titles and win the tag team titles. Like, this is the first time they wrestled in AEW. And Jeff, obviously start and stop. He's had his issues. Yeah, they should have just done this the first night after the Hardys debut. They should just challenge Young Bucks, and we should have got this match a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because the Young Bucks were the tag champ at the time, and it would have had a lot more at stake. Like you said, this just kind of felt like, hey, we don't have anything else to do for these guys, and we need the Young Bucks to be able to be in the ring so they can cut a promo and FTR can come out. So why don't they just challenge the Hardys just for shits and giggles? Also, another dude that I would rather see on screen than Jack Perry, Ethan Page, just being relegated to a dude that dances in the background is a travesty. And I don't know what that dude has to do. I don't know what he has to show you in management to see that he has amazing potential. But him just being in the background, half-heartedly doing the Hardy Boy dance is a crying shame, and they should change that. And again, he suffers from what a lot of people in AEW suffer from, which is the start-stop booking. They get hot for 3 weeks, and then it's not only like it comes to a halt, it's like it falls off a cliff. It's not a gradual descent back into nothing. It is car speeding, and there it goes off the cliff, and never. When's the last time he challenged MJF? Like a couple weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and that was it.
Yeah.
He's not been on TV since. Yeah. And that was out of character completely.
Yeah, that was just rando because they were in Canada or whatever.
Yeah. So, again, I know I want to be a Jack Perry hater, but every time I see one of these dudes who I think has more potential than him, I will continue to call it out. That's my new thing on this podcast.
Well, he's next on the document here, so let's get into Jack Perry versus RVD. RVD had the count on Jack, but Remsburg was knocked out and was out of the ring. And by the time Audrey got to the ring, Jack got a low blow on RVD and got the pin. RVD could still go a little bit.
RVD's a shit, man. RVD. If you're not as much of a like YouTube rabbit hole guy as I am, and you just want something funny that's going to pop you, I think if you type in YouTube, pick a hand RVD, there's a kayfabe commentary or a YouShoot, one of those companies, where they're talking to RVD, and basically the gimmick is like pick a hand, like who's a dude that's an asshole that you would like beat up, and they gets to Shawn Michaels, and RVD does a spot on Shawn Michaels, does the whole lazy eye, the whole 9 yards, the greatest Shawn Michaels impersonation I've ever seen in my life. So just if you want just 3-minute clip that's just going to make you fucking laugh out loud, please go search that out. But RVD, and for everything I've ever read and the way anybody's talked about him, super cool guy, innovator in the ring, and yeah, to be pushing, he's got to be in his mid-50s, and to still be like doing the RVD stuff. Now, granted, the 5-star frog splash was probably more like a 3.5 star, 3-star.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, he put on a show.
What is he doing these days? Does he do an indies or what?
I think he just takes indie gigs here and there, and I think he's just smoking weed and stretching, and I think he's got multiple girlfriends. I think that is I think if you go check on his Instagram, he is routinely surrounded by women who probably have taken multiple trips to the plastic surgeon over the years. Which, I mean, hey, that's what he does. That's RVD, man.
Gotcha.
Jack Perry, though, I still don't buy.
Yeah.
I do not buy anything that guy does as his new character. I don't. This is not it.
Yeah.
I don't know what has to happen. This ain't it for him.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We could beat this horse to death, but yeah, I don't.
And it's not the
How
wrestling.
long are they going to roll with it? They're going to dig in on it. Probably, they're not going to just up and switch, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it has to. This is the thing where if you're in management, I guess you're probably Tony Khan in particular. He seems to be the guy that's calling all the shots. Vince was like this sometimes, where Vince was just like, "No, screw it. My way is going to get over. I don't give a shit." And if this was Vince calling the shots and he wanted Jack Perry as a heel, he'd be like, "Damn it, we're going to keep putting this kid out there. He's going to get over eventually. We're going to make the audience succumb to our will." I just don't think it makes for that great television. I don't buy Jack Perry at all as this, badass heel. He's not even a badass. He's a chicken shit, but
sure.
I don't buy him as this villainous person.
Yeah. Well, last thing on the notes for Dynamite was Adam Cole and MJF promo from last week. So now they're going to do a tag match on the 0 hour at All In? For the Ring of Honor Championship?
Against Aussie Open. They announced it, yeah.
And then they're going to turn around and have a one-on-one match versus each other in the main event.
So listen.
Why are we doing that?
Well, so obviously some kind of chicanery has to happen with this Ring of Honor 0 hour match. Somebody's got to get involved. I don't think that MJF and Adam Cole are going to walk into their main event match as Ring of Honor tag team champions, right? I don't think that's going to happen. Could be wrong. Are they going to do the thing that I talked about a couple weeks ago and going to have Adam Cole super kick MJF right at the beginning of the pre-show so that they can go into the main event with, a clear babyface heel dynamic? I don't know.
That's a bold move because not everybody watches the pre-shows.
Yeah, and if you were going to try to pop a rating, I think you would want to do that on free TV. But I do not know. I don't hate the idea. I just don't know where you're trying to go in terms of these two guys' story that you want to go down this route and have these dudes be on the pre-show.
It's an interesting choice.
Unless you're just trying to pop YouTube numbers, which I guess is, how much of this stuff is motivated by, it's like any kind of business, right? They have some kind of meeting and digital marketing guy comes in and goes, "Hey, we need to get our YouTube subscribers up by X amount." And Tony just goes, "Okay, well, fuck it. Why don't we put MJF and Adam Cole in a tag team match on the pre-show because they're on YouTube and we'll push to it and blah, 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 blah." I don't know. Sometimes it could just be as simple as that.
I don't know.
Or
seems weird, man.
Maybe they don't like the Ring of Honor subscriber numbers and they want to get those up. They don't want to have MJF be the Ring of Honor champion, so screw it. Let them be the tag champions. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind to see this bromance keep going between Cole and MJF. It continues to be entertaining. I mean, they beat the shit out of some kids at a trampoline park and some dodgeball. Shout out to the one girl, too, that took the dodgeball right in the face for the gimmick. You got to live it, man.
Just got hammered.
Yeah. You give her, I wonder how much she made. Probably nothing. She's probably somebody's kid. And there's "Hey, sweetie, why don't you just sit here on this ledge?"
She's got an ice cream cone afterwards.
Yeah, you just get her a McFlurry.
So let's go ahead and get into Collision. I had a change of heart Saturday night. I think I'm all in on heel Ricky. His promo the other night was fucking fire.
But he's not a heel. Nobody's booing him.
I mean, he's acting like a heel.
And people are still chanting Ricky.
He's still getting Ricky chants. So my notes say that he got suspended, quote unquote suspended for 30 days for beating up Steamboat on the last episode. And then he got a quote unquote manager license so he can still be on the show. LOL, I think I can handle this heel turn now.
But, okay, I agree. His promo Saturday night was fantastic. I will agree with you there. I loved his reasoning of just being like, Steamboat, you interjected yourself. And I did it because I love you. I always love that reasoning for any kind of heel about whooping. Because that's such a classic.
Yeah, I whooped your ass because you needed it.
Yeah, you needed it. So I don't have a problem with that. And I don't even really have a problem with Ricky turning heel. It's just like, hey, the crowd's not going to boo him. They didn't boo him Saturday. He beat up and whipped the most babyface wrestler that has ever existed. Okay. And he gave his reasoning and the crowd was like, oh yeah, we buy that. Yeah. Good job. Go Ricky. Like it's not, they're not going to boo him. So whoever you put him up against, because he is so good, the crowd is going to cheer him.
Yeah.
So just, he can have this same exact shtick he has now. He can have an edge and still be a babyface and not take a belt to fucking Steamboat and whoop the shit out of him, right? But for whatever reason, they decided that's what he was going to do. We're just going to go in a circle with this dude. In 8 weeks, we're going to be right back to where we were at, where Ricky Starks is going to have to go back babyface because it didn't work because the crowd keeps cheering for him.
Yeah.
This is the same exact thing that happened the first time.
Yeah, it's the reason, like, it was more of a slow transition last time, I feel like when he was the FTW champ and he was quote unquote a heel, and then he started getting over, and that's when we did the whole "I'll beat your ass"
Yeah.
when he said him and Hobbs are walking down the fucking row or whatever. It was more of a slow transition, but yeah, it was just like, no, he ain't heel no more. Yeah, I don't know. Like I see this transition going back to a face will happen a lot quicker than the Jack Perry one.
Yeah, it'll be there somewhere, and he's wrestling CM Punk again, and it's not a pro CM Punk crowd; it's a pro Ricky crowd. And okay, cool. Well, there it is again. That we're right back where we started because the crowd is chanting for Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looked great Saturday night and gave a great promo. I love his fire. He's great when he has fire, but he can just do all of this and still be a babyface.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Punk, first of all, we have the House of Black versus CMFTR match. But probably what we're going to talk about the most here will be...
We're back, baby.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
The comments after the show. So videos started circulating of, they were basically in Hangman Page's backyard, right?
Oh, literally, I think the dude lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were rumors, over the last day or two that Hangman was turned away and sent home as he showed up.
Well, there was a sign in the crowd that the camera got a close-up of, and I guess CM Punk saw in the match that said Hangman was right. That's what started. So in the video that everybody saw, that's what he was alluding to that started this whole thing. But yeah, continue.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically where I was going, was that after the show, videos are circulating of Punk, doing a promo, basically calling Page out again, right?
Yeah, I think he said the reason they call him the Hangman is because his toys are just hanging
on the pegs,
and he doesn't move merchandise or sell tickets like I do.
Yeah. So, okay, shots fired.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then today there's a couple of headlines from different people. They're like, oh, Punk said that, it didn't come across the way he wanted it to. He didn't say that people misinterpreted it. He just said, he made it sound like it was his bad. Like he didn't deliver it correct, whatever. But what are you supposed to take away from that?
So there was that.
I honestly feel like it's come out that he's been the one extending olive branches, trying to work shit out with these guys. And they're the ones that are like, no, whatever. But like, I don't know. I feel like it's all a work.
Oh, you're going down I'm
going back to work. Yeah.
Oh, you're going back. Okay. I don't know if I get the feeling of that this time. Just because everything that's... Okay, so I guess caveat here. If it is a work, very strange approach to making this a work, to trying to get this in the ring to make a match. So everything I'm about to say could all just be bullshit if it, this all is a work and everybody's in on it. If everything that we've come out is true about Christopher Daniels is the head of talent relations, which means he is in a position of management, and fucking CM Punk can be like, nah, he's not coming to the show.
That is weird.
And they send him home?
Like, why is that just now a thing? We've been on Collision for what, 8 weeks now? 7 weeks?
Head of talent relations. That's the same position Jim Ross had in the WWE, okay? When Jim Ross was head of talent relations, if any talent would have went to Vince McMahon and been like, I don't like Jim Ross, head of talent relations, he's not coming in this fucking show. Vince McMahon, first of all, probably would have laughed in your face, okay? Then he would have said, who the fuck do you think you are? And then he would probably have said, oh, actually, you can be the one that goes home, and we'll talk about this another time. Yeah,
apparently Punk's reasoning was, it was his involvement in the backstage, in the brawl out, right?
Yeah.
So, but why is it taking this long? Because he's like, yeah, well, if Ace Steel can't be here, then Christopher Daniel can't be here. Well, that's different, cuz.
Well, I guess
Christopher Daniel is kind of your boss.
Not kind of. If that is the way the hierarchy of it, head of talent relations, since that has been a position, that is a person directly that answers only to the president, booker, general manager.
Right.
That's, like I said, Jim Ross, legendary in that role in WWE, he answered to Vince. That was it. It's wild that Punk is able to just call the shots like this. And probably part of the reason a lot of this is coming out is because, it's like with anything. If you have any kind of work-related issue, right? After a couple weeks, everybody's like, all right, fuck it. I'll try to play, whatever. I'll, keep everything status quo. But then Punk goes and does what he does after the show. And now people go, oh, well, it's a free-for-all. Well, if you want to know that, hey, guess what else has been happening while it's been back here? And people start gossiping and start talking.
Mm-hmm.
I told you before I started rolling, the fan in me wants to see the Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman and Punk and some kind of iteration in the ring. If I was any one of these guys from Omega, the Bucks, and especially if I was Adam Page, there's no way in hell I'd work with this motherfucker. Not even remotely. If I was Hangman Page, what I would say is, you want to have a meeting with me? I'll do a program with you, but I'm not fucking laying down for you.
Right.
I'm not losing. So if you can do it that way and you want to do that, but I'm not working with you, I'm not giving you anything. Because this is now twice where this dude in CM Punk has called off shots in front of... The first time he did it was live television, okay? The second time he did it, literally it's after a show, yeah, but everybody has a smartphone. Everybody's going to be recording what you're going to say.
Yeah, this ain't 1984.
This is going to become a story, okay? And you're the one that talks about, has been reported, he's the one that has said, oh, we want to make Collision a drama-free zone. And then you're the guy that does this?
Not a good look.
And again, you say, oh, well, it's, yeah, I apologized because that's not how I wanted it to come off. Well, how, again, like what you said, how did you want it to come off? What were you trying to say?
Yeah, what were you, there ain't no double way, there's no other way to interpret that.
No, and again, the sending people home in management.
The management thing baffles me.
I mean,
if I'm Tony Khan, I'm like, fuck you.
We don't know if it's going to come to a lot of people who are staunch AEW haters have always said since the company started, this feels a lot like late era WCW. And what happened in late era WCW? The fucking power trip between Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan, them together, ruined that entire company. This is the first time where I'm like, oh, starting to feel a little bit like that. Like Punk is the Hogan and TK is the Bischoff and they're good friends. And apparently, I guess Tony thinks that Punk is integral to the success of the company. But I mean, I'm not predicting that the guy's going to burn it down from the inside. But I mean, holy shit, this is not a good look.
Yeah. Well,
it makes me leery. I don't think we'll ever see.
Yeah.
Unless cooler heads prevail.
We got a couple weeks between now and All In.
Well, yeah, and there's a couple of shows that are Dynamite Collision co-shows.
Oh, shit.
Where everybody's going to be at the building at the same time.
Ooh,
How the hell's that going to work?
Whew. Okay.
At All In, they got to all be in the building at the same time.
True. I mean, I pointed out last week, too, and before we started recording today, that Punk has not accepted Samoa Joe's challenge. And then they have Kenny on there, and they're like, whoa, we need to talk to you real quick. And he's like, hey, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing at All In, etc. And I was like, okay, well, that means maybe he and Punk are trying to work this thing out. But you said you don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, if you're right and this is a work, this is the strangest way to go about it. Because it does, because what is the path forward? Unless Hangman legitimately just comes out at some point and just says, fuck you. Like, we're all right, we're going to do it. I'm going to beat your ass or whatever. Which I guess he could. But there's a lot of smoke here for it not to be no fire.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple weeks for sure. And we were talking before we started recording too, that it's so weird to have a back-to-back pay-per-views within a week of each other.
Yeah, that's strange. And they haven't announced anything for the Chicago show.
It's so weird.
It's odd timing all the way around. And I know I've said this before, Tony Khan could probably serve to have a little bit more asshole in him. He seems to be like the nicest billionaire literally on the face of the planet.
Paying for medical bills for folks before he's officially signed anybody, and like taking care of their injuries, and like the way like he treated Brody's wife after he passed, and Brody's kids, and like,
Yeah. It just seems to me, if I was TK, I would have to ask myself this question. Does one of my biggest superstars in CM Punk actually respect me? Because if he does, why would he continually put me in this situation where I have to go and bust it open, and the first thing people ask me is, what are your comments on CM Punk? And put me in a position where I have to say, no comment. Yeah. Or I'm a fan of CM Punk, and not address any of the shit that is going on. Unless, again, all of this is a work. And if it is, okay. Y'all do you, I guess, if this is how you want to go about it. I think if it was work, I'd kind of want to be putting this shit on television. Yeah. I would just have CM Punk do the same promo, but have it be on television where I could pop some ratings and not just have it be on somebody's TikTok.
Yeah, the other night, like while this was going on, or probably, because I don't think I saw it until the next morning, but Hangman Adam Page's Instagram story was just like him watching TV with a glass of wine or something.
Yeah. I would have already thrown punches. I know they had the brawl out, but I'd do it again. We didn't go for round 2.
It's on site.
That being said, the trios match, House of Black is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that they have enough star power. AEW has enough star power that they can do without CM Punk. But they have to have the stories and the creative that can come in and match the level of star power. If you don't have that creatively, then yeah, you kind of do need a dude who's an established name like CM Punk who can come in and, get eyeballs on your show, right? But fucking look at House of Black. Look at the Elite. Look at, we saw Miro again. Look at Swerve. Look at Darby Allin. There's more than enough guys that you have where if your creative is up to snuff, you can make these dudes into household names. Yeah. They're unique enough. Your product is unique enough. This company is only going to go as far as old Tony Khan leads them. And again, I don't want to sound like fucking Debbie Downer here and that the sky's falling, but like when you have a fucking superstar who's like, hey, this dude in management, head of talent relations, can't fucking come to the show, and you go, oh, okay. That's wild. No, I don't. My personality, I don't play that. Yeah. Especially if I'm footing the bill. Yeah. And please keep in mind that I guarantee you Tony Khan talked to CM Punk before All Elite Wrestling ever started about being on the ground floor. And Punk's the guy that said no. And he waited until you guys got a TV deal. and he waited till the excitement level was all up. Then he came coming in, and then you probably gave him a fat paycheck on top of that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd feel a certain type of way about that.
Sure.
If I was Tony Khan, especially if I was the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman. Because you don't think they could have used star power like CM Punk from the get-go?
Oh, that would have been enormous, yeah.
And, they had to put their own money up and their own necks on the line for all this shit.
Because really, I mean, the diehards knew who the Bucks were, and obviously people knew who Cody was, but like there was Jericho and Cody to like the mainstream folks, right?
Yeah, until the first big guy that come over was Mox.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I had heard the name the Young Bucks, but I didn't know jack shit about them before All Elite.
And a lot of American wrestling fans didn't. They'd seen clips and stuff.
Yeah. I really only had seen the name the Young Bucks because of Funko Pops. There was a 2-pack of Matt and Nick because they made a very small handful of New Japan Pro Wrestling Pops. They did a 2-pack of the Young Bucks. They did Kenny Omega, and they did Cody Rhodes, I believe.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder why there's no All Elite Wrestling Funko Pops at this point. It seems odd. We're 4 years in.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I mean, that's just for the nerd in me. But yeah, I mean, unless you've got anything else, I say that's it for this week.
That's it. We're back with the drama. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Going to be very interesting 2 weeks. Y'all follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Alabama Slam Pod. We're on Facebook. Just search Alabama Slam Podcast. And we've slowly made our way onto Threads. I finally posted something on there the other night. I don't know if that's going to pop off or not, but we're over there. And be sure to follow the Alabama Take on all social medias. We've got like 5 or 6 different podcasts on our little network now. It's really awesome. You can search the Alabama Take on all social media. Blaine Duncan does a really good job of keeping all that up to date. And some of us other folks are going to try to pitch in and help him out do that a little more often as well. So we appreciate it. And we'll see y'all next week.
Later, guys.